This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Yeah, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Jason, what do you have on tap for us today?
Well, today is talk about a series. I'm not sure. I wasn't actually sure that would actually get to this point, to the point where it actually had like a reasonably successful 25 issue run in the Marvel Universe. And I'm talking about the recent Iron Man run by Christopher Cantwell. Now, if you're not familiar with the name, he's probably best known to the world at large for being the showrunner for a pretty fairly successful series on AMC called *Halt and Catch Fire*, about the tech industry in the it's like in the early '80s through the '90s, and it's one of those series where it's like, while the first season didn't set a lot of people's minds on fire, it actually got better as it went along, according to reputation. I didn't actually watch it, but I heard that like everyone who actually stuck with it through the end basically kind of like said, like, yeah, this series is really good. Once you get past like the first season, so yeah, that's really kind of impressive. To have a series gets better as it goes along, and unlike other creators who probably would have would have gone on to like try to make more like TV series. It's like let's try to capitalize on the success to make more successful TV series. Cantwell actually decided to leverage his success as like the showrunner for *Call to Catch Fire*, and went into the comics writing business, which it's like you have to assume that was his goal all along, because like who gets into the comics writing business from TV unless you didn't already want to go into the comics writing business in the first place, because it's kind of a mugs game these days. But that being said, Cantwell actually had a good start early on, with because he gave us it's like she could fly from Berger Books at Dark Horse, and that was his debut series. And it's like I enjoyed that first volume about a girl with it's like with who it's like obsessive compulsive disorder, who gets obsessed with a woman who can fly due to due to like a jetpack she created. And it had like its quirky bits, like like its main character it's like Luna had just like her like that whole obsessive compulsive, like she was like she just like talk about stuff that that we weren't sure about what she was really like focusing on. It's like, and like her parents weren't sure what to do with her, and then there were like the different like factions that were trying to like utilize this flying technology for their own good. First volume was good. It's like second volume probably may have a bit too much quirk for its own good. Third volume, well, it's like if you're a long time listener for this series, you'll know that it actually wound up in my as number 4 as my favorite series of 2022, because while like the first two series basically established a formula for for this title, it's like volume 3 actually switched things up a bit, and did a much better job of showing us the world from Luna's perspective, and just playing with our expectations of what is this series all about. I really enjoyed it. It's like, and but also before that, Cantwell has also carved out I wouldn't say like a successful niche for himself, but he also decamped to Marvel to like to do writing for them as well, particularly with the Doctor Doom series with Salvador Larroca. That lasted all of 10 issues, and on one hand, it's like if Marvel marketed that as like a 10 issue series, then I think we would have been doing that as an unqualified success. That a Doctor Doom like series that only lasted 10 issues probably has the feeling that, oh well, like it didn't really succeed in what it was trying to do. But I really enjoyed it, especially the second volume, which did a really good job of crystallizing Doom's ambitions and his mental failings as well. Particularly the bit where like when he's trying to like um defuse a black hole that's developing on the moon, and Reed Richards basically says, I wish you good luck, Doom, and Doom's like, what do you mean good luck, Reed? It's like, I know what I'm doing here. It's like, yeah, I believe you know what you're doing here, Doom, so I wish you good luck there. And like Doom just like goes right off the rails, just trying to like figure out, what is that Richards seeing that I haven't? It's like, why is he just only wishing me good luck instead of like absolute success in my endeavor? It's like that's a good handle on what makes Doom tick, and especially and it gets even better in the final issue. We get to see a Doom who actually has all of his shit together. It's like, and tries to get this Doom, like the main Marvel Universe version of Doom to realize, what he needs to do in order to, make his world as good as like the one this Doom has made. So, and Cantwell actually got a like Eisner nomination for this arc, and he also got a nod for like his work on it's like on She Could Fly as well. And also, it's worth noting that he's gone to like success writing the series Grimm for Briar for Boom Studios, and he's also doing like a Superman story. It's for DC as well. So he's actually it's like you managed to make a successful transition to comics writing. And at this point, though, however, his Iron Man run, it stands as his most successful, setting it at a full 25 issues. And you think that, oh, it's just 25 issues, like that's not a whole lot. But at the same time, though, in this day and age, getting 2 years in one issue, like on a series, that's actually kind of a sign that you've kind of succeeded in the story you're trying to tell here. Because if he hadn't, he would have been canned after one arc, or maybe just two arcs if they were feeling generous. Just as Simon Spurrier. Heyo. So, so, so with that in mind, I started reading his Iron Man on Marvel Unlimited because, well, on one hand, it's my shelf space is so limited these days. I just can't pick up anything I want these days. And so if I'm just feeling curious about something, I just got to read it on Marvel Unlimited. And it's reading all 25 issues. I generally enjoyed it. Maybe I don't feel the need to go out and buy this to add it to my shelf, but but it was generally entertaining. It's well, it had some good ideas, and I think it was also hamstrung a bit by the fact that we had to tell the story within the confines of the Marvel universe, because, well, this is a story all about what happens when Iron Man decides to become God. Well, not because he wants to, really, but this is all involves the return of a familiar Marvel cosmic villain known as Korvac, or antagonist, if we're being generous here. He was a guy who was born in the far future of the 29 of the 2900s. It's in the time when the Badoon had conquered the universe, and he was just a guy who was just trying to make ends meet. It's in this fascist alien alien rule, and and while his efforts were rewarded to a certain extent by the Badoons, he just couldn't measure up to their standards. And he was parts of him were carved out, and he was then turned into a cyborg as well. But he was also sent back to the present day. It's fleeing from the Oppressive Badoon rule. It's and eventually and he also found Galactus's ship, the Ta 2, and that's where he got access to the power cosmic. It's and he basically became godlike in his abilities, and was basically going to try and remake the universe in his image, as people with the power cosmic tend to do. Well, the Avengers got wind of this and tried to stop him. It's and things went badly for them, to the point where it's most of them were killed in their conflict with him. But by the time Korvac was stopped and realized that his attempts to remake the universe in his image were misguided, he basically brought them all back. Everything was better again. That's kind of the definitive Korvac story from back in the 70s. But and he's been back a couple times since then, and now we're dealing with his latest reincarnation, spurred on by his reappearance in Al Ewing's Marvel. It's a Marvel Comics 1000. It's and that was basically the setup for Cantwell's run, where we've got Iron Man, just trying to figure out what does he want to do with his life. He kind of realizes that everyone doesn't view Iron Man as a indomitable force against good, and that's both it's from from his own actions in the first issue, and also just like a hangover from his actions in Dan Slott's previous run. See the podcast. So on one hand, the first issue of Cantwell is all about just establishing Tony's insecurities, just realizing that he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. It's like, and just and he's not sure if he's got the right friends who wants to set him in his place. It also introduces Patsy Walker Hellcat to to his life as someone who who was just showed up at his brownstone for a party one day and just is one person there who's willing to call him on his bullshit. He appreciates that, but there's also this one guy, Tealhard Fuller. It's who is just wants to get Iron Man's input for this lightning capture setup piece that he's devised. And Tony's intrigued, but he just kind of wants to hang out with Patsy. It's and they also encounter this C-list, really D-list villain, Unicorn, who's stealing a Bible from the from the New York Library. Then they stop him, obviously, because Iron Man and Hellcat versus Unicorn, and no doubt who's gonna win there. But then you get to see Tealhard, just looking at them, ominously with stars in his face, because he's gonna be a big bad, and surprise here, he's actually Korvac. So basically, Korvac has just this time he's basically realized a way that he wants to bring universal peace to everyone, and his plan here is, on one hand, it'll work, but it's also kind of fucked up as well, because it's not too removed from, say, Gendo Ikari's version of instrumentality. Basically, as we find out later in the series, Korvac basically just wants to make all life a crystalline entity that just consumes, excretes, and just lives life peacefully. And as Iron Man and Hellcat remark to him as they've expressed a genuine interest in his in his universe conquering plans. He tells them this is what I've got. This is gonna make everyone. It's this is going to be. This is going to be the plan for for making everyone peaceful. It's everyone's just going to be one big crystalline entity. So Gendo, they basically tell him that hey, your idea for for a big universal peace plan really sucks, because it's just it's going to mute creativity and life and individuality for everyone. And Korvac's fuck you. It's my plan is genius. You just don't see it. And that's kind of the the main conflict here, even if it's only spelled out several issues in, because the first several issues are just all about just um selling out the spelling out the conflict between Iron Man and Korvac. They're basically conflicts between who's got the the right idea for for saving the universe here. And on one hand, it's yeah, of course Iron Man has the right idea, because this is a Marvel comic. Obviously, Iron Man is going to be in the right here. But Cantwell does a good job of setting up Iron Man's fallacies here, from his from his arrogance to his addictive personality, and his drive to be the center of attention in just about everything here. And also, Cantwell has a pretty solid documentation of loving quirkiness for quirk's sake. So this is why when Iron Man is when he's got to set up a crew for for saving the universe. Well, his crew involves Leapfrog, the Gargoyle, Scarlet Spider, Ben Riley, Misty Knight, and Halcyon, a new character, a deaf speed star. It's like, well, guy who races cars for fun, who's subsequently reviewed to be a mutant, whose mutant ability is like his heartbeat never goes over 70 beats per minute. So he's always cool in every situation, which, to be fair, actually like turns out to be pretty useful when he's called upon to pilot pilot a spaceship against against Korvac's disciples. But it's like the first half of the series, it's just all about it's like just like Iron Man and Hellcat getting to know each other better, like Hellcat just interrogating Tony's sense of privilege, and Korvac also just trying to get get to his goal of it's like being a good god and bringing peace to the universe, regardless of who gets hurt along the way. Because while Korvac believes that he's doing the right thing, while his disciples believe that he's doing the right thing, it's like he's willing to do just about anything in order to do this. It's best seen when he recruits the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, who was just sequestered himself away from the rest of the universe. Well, Korvac usually sees him as like another cyborg or artificial intelligence who can possibly help see what he's trying to do here. But when when Hammond sees what Korvac has done over the years, like when their minds meld, I guess he's bringing Hammond back up to modern spec. Like Hammond just feels like you're a monster. It's like you're just like trying to you're just another deranged cult leader. And Korvac just has the commander. It's like one of Iron Man's old villains who loves to control people using control chips. Just slap a control chip on him, and there he goes. Got another follower right there. So it's basically Iron Man, kind of a compromised hero, who believes he's doing the right thing, but may just be doing this just for his own gratification, against a against a slightly deranged cult leader. So it's like on one hand, it's it's really kind of interesting to see how how Cantwell manages this stuff, especially when Tony winds up on on an alien planet ruled by Stiltman of all people. It's like, and how he has to realize that, hey, is this kind of idyllic paradise that I wanted, even it's being assaulted by Ultimos, and also I may have just hacked the morphine distributor on my suit in order to cope with all the pain that I've got after Korvac broke my neck, which is the thing that happened. So Tony just has to deal with all these things as he's going against Korvac. But the whole culmination of this is when they both make it to Tatu in order to this universe's version of Tatu in order to get the access to the power cosmic. And while Korvac is able to get there first, Iron Man is just able to get there right afterwards, and they've both got access to this power. And while it's not good for the universe at large, the governing entities of the universe eventually, we're talking about death, and it's entropy, eternity, well, maybe eternity. It's the living tribunal. It's they all realize that Korvac is his plan is just no good at all. So they basically take him away, and that leaves Iron Man with the power cosmic, ready to remake the universe in his own image. But he doesn't do that. He just goes back to Earth and basically realizes that, hey, you know what? I know how to make this world better. I'm going to do it my way, because I've had this plan all along, and I don't have to worry about anyone else getting in my way now. So his big plan is to make everyone in the tri-state area of New York as smart as he is. And musically, at the same time, this happens. He actually has he's saying this in front of the Avengers and his space friends crew, at the same time. And also Reed Richards is there as well, and so is his wife Susan. And when he says everyone's now as smart as me, Susan basically goes, well, how do you feel about this, Reed? Reed's I think I just became dumber. So so then we get scenes of people just like realizing like the vicious cycles they've been trapped in. It's like, and also just like you realize that, hey, we don't have to be beholden to like the old systems that we were before. Like this one villain, Big Wheel, basically just starts upgrading the intelligence of cars and the people driving them because he's realized a way to solve traffic congestion. It's like in the world. It's like, and yeah, it's may have just like infringing on a few personal freedoms, but hey, he's just solved traffic congestion. That should be fine, right? Well, that's like Tony and Hellcat. Tony realizes like the issues there. Well, he basically like realizes like, okay, maybe a Big Wheel was kind of out of line there, but he had the right idea, and like and Hellcat is kind of like, are you high? Well, he's not high, but he's on the power cosmic. So basically, she kind of realizes that okay, it's time to we need to take him down, and that's when she recruits all these some of his best friends in order to like talk him out of this. Oh, and also Doctor Doom, because yeah, it's cool seeing Doctor Doom back here after Cantwell wrote him in his series. And you've got hey, like these people trying to like talk down the Iron God, from his from his position. I don't want to get too specific on what happens here, but problem the problem with this like storytelling is that Tony was never going to be afforded godlike powers to do whatever he wanted, because that would just like wreck the Marvel universe. I don't have to tell you how this turns out, because you can probably already guess just from the shape the story takes. But I will say that when Korvac shows up at the end of the storyline, and like still imbued with the power cosmic, and Tony has to talk him out of just like enacting his grand cosmic plan. It's actually pretty solid. It's a scene where Tony actually steps up and is the kind of hero that we know him to be. Korvac's end here is kind of tragic, but at the same time, though, no, not too tragic, because we know that if people want to bring him back at some point, this is comics. He'll be back. He'll be back at some point. So it's a story that's got like some good moments through it, but at the same time, it's kind of hamstrung by the fact that we all knew how this was going to end, like right from the start, because like he's like Cantwell is telling an interesting story, but it's also one that is like hamstrung by the confines of having it being told within the Marvel universe. And it's also worth noting that after this story ends, there's another like 7 issues or so like to go, because I don't know if it was just a case of Marvel just going, hey, it's like, why don't you just stick around for a while, because we're gonna like have because like issue like legacy issue 650 is coming right up, so why don't you just hang around until then, or if there's like a story that Cantwell probably really wanted to tell. If I'm being honest, I think that the latter is probably the case, because this is one of those stories where like Tony gets in his head to save the world by getting all the bad technology out of it. It's where he learns of the existence of the organization called Source Control, which is like one of those like nebulous organizations in the Marvel universe, where they've got that they're just like a weapons dealer, like who just say, hey, if you want to buy like your like ultimate nullifier or insert X device here, then hey, we got it for you. And as we learn early on that Tony doesn't learn like initially, well, they've also got access to the Mandarin's rings. So basically you got like 10 rings that can alter like the entirety of reality here. And well, Tony's got to find a way to get this, because the guy who wanted to tell him about it is now dead because of Tony's negligence. Oh, it's also worth noting there's a really fun story in between these arcs where Tony winds up having to uses his Iron Man suit's rollerblade functions in order to outsmart a intelligent chimp who is just like furious that Tony would not accept his resume, like for Stark Industries. So there you go. But the final arc, involving Tony and Jim Rhodes, War Machine, trying to take out no, source control. Oh, and one other guy, Clayton, who's like a former superhero, supervillain named Force. But the fact that I can't remember what actually his status and his name is. That's kind of important because it kind of also feeds into the to the arc about Tony really using him as a pawn in order to be the front man to buy all this stuff. But it's an interesting little arc where Tony just tries to take everything on himself, and save the world on his own terms, but ultimately having to seize control of it when it's revealed who actually has the access to the Mandarin's rings. It wasn't so as I was expecting, but it's a nice tie-in to the character's current status in the Marvel universe. He has to play nice with this person because he has to show that he trusts her. And it's because she's also kind of carrying on his legacy indirectly. If I'm being honest. So that was interesting. And then you get the final issue, part of Legacy issue 650, where it's revealed that hey, after Tony has kind of a coma that he had to fake himself going into in order to go undercover to secure all the stuff from source control. Well, New York has declared that day Iron Man Day. And so Tony just has to decide whether or not he's going to show up and give a big speech, boosting himself in his own ego, or if he's just gonna try to just go around and just see what the city is like, when everyone else is just celebrating him elsewhere. And it's kind of interesting. And the resolution is maybe it's a little bit forced, positive, but after all the self-doubt that Tony has espoused over this run, I kind of think he needs that win right there. I'm willing to let him off. It's hey, nice ending right there. So Cantwell's run, I enjoyed it. Probably not as good as it could be because you just got to realize what can you do within the confines of the Marvel universe, and also what you're allowed to do within the confines of the Marvel universe. I don't think Cantwell probably grasp that as well as he could have when he's running one of Marvel's A-list or B-list characters. But overall, it's I did enjoy this, and it also had good art from beginning to end, with the main artists Kafu and Aniel Unzueta doing a really solid photorealistic superhero book. I mean, they were good when it came to having guys in power suits and big energy beams duke it out, but they also gave it a really grounded give the book a really grounded look to it. And also the people who filled in from time to time, Ibrahim Robeson and Julius Ojota, it's they also did solid work as well. So it's a good book with a good solid visual look to it. But overall, it's is this something that I would say go out and buy? I don't know. It's I'm perfectly fine with having access to this on Marvel Unlimited. I don't think I need to actually add this to my library, but if I had bought this, I certainly would have sold it like I did the previous Iron Man run by Dan Slott, because that's long gone to some lucky person in Book Off right now. This, it's I enjoyed it. It's I think it's proof that Cantwell is someone who's worth following for future. It's I will read his creator-owned series Briar when it's collected by Boom, and I'll look forward to reading his Star Trek Defiance series when it's also in paperback as well. But that's a whole other story as well. So
or a different podcast.
Oh yeah, it's I want to talk to you about that too.
Yep.
So
cool. So you're going to be talking about next time.
Well, it's unless I have a a brainstorm, a sudden change of mind. Well, we're going to talk about Batman again, specifically Batman by Tom King.
All right, cool. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.